And we are live. We are live. Welcome, everybody. This is on the Noto channel, as you guys know. We don't have nobody in the room just yet, but you know, everybody will gather soon. Um, I just want to say that I'm getting ready to, move to Switzerland soon. So you guys may see me recording from Switzerland very, very, very. You could not wait. You could not wait. You just couldn't wait. The Steelers are on in 30 minutes, and I got it on my TV. I got it on my TV. It's fine. I don't need the volume up, and it don't even matter. I'm not that excited about the Steelers and the Browns anyway. We'll get into that. That shit league sport. Tell them to get it off of Amazon fucking Prime. That's the issue number one. They have it on Amazon Prime. Nobody has that. Like, yeah, Switzerland. Let's move to Switzerland. The homie review. The reason why I say that is because I found out yesterday. To tell the truth about the NBA, I will. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna definitely get to that in Adam Silver's little fucking shenanigans that he's up to again. We've never seen a commissioner change so much shit year to dog. It's never a good sign when a commissioner is like making big changes. He's instituted the bubble. He's instituted the NBA Cup, the in-season tournament. He's did the play-in tournament. Now he's changed the All-Star game literally three times. They did the honorary Kobe game. Then they switched it back and started drafting teams. And then they did something else. They did a target score. And then now they're fucking doing a three-team All-Star tournament, like with the Rising Stars. Whoever wins the Rising Stars versus two other eight-man teams. Like, dude, could you be more tone deaf? No, we continuously say that that's not what we want. That's not what the problem is. It's never been a problem about the rosters or anything like that. It's been a problem clearly about the fucking quality of basketball that we're getting. That's what everybody's beef is. I don't know what Adam Silver's issue is, or I don't understand his understanding or lack thereof to be able to just gather the players up and say, hey, like, no one's complaining about no one's complaining about anything except y'all's lack thereof. Let me post this. Hold on, guys. Let me post this link. So yeah, man, I've been out on Adam Silver since the very fucking beginning. I've been out on Adam Silver. Um, that is not my thumbnail. That is not my thumbnail. Oh Lord of mercy. Oh Lord of mercy. How do you change? I'm changing my thumbnail right now. It just doesn't fucking get it. Yeah, I'm so out on Adam Silver. It's not even funny. It's really not even funny. Um, he's the worst commissioner in sports. He's the worst commissioner I can remember in a long time. But we sit up here and we talk about it every episode. Every episode. He got what he wants. The Lakers is at the top of the standings. The Warriors is back doing what they do. Steph Curry's still the box office draw. You got the Celtics, the Cavaliers, and the Celtics game was actually pretty good a few nights ago. Um, the Cavaliers is just one of those, flodge teams where, it's going to seem like their record, their record will say what they're not. Like, they're not going to be as good as their record portrays. It's just one of those teams. We get those teams in all sports every year where it's either fool's gold and some people bite the bit. I never bite the bit. Like, there's certain teams where you just know that they're not that good. Donovan Mitchell's just not that guy. So it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But the point of the matter is the talent is at an all-time high. We know that. Everybody always talks about skill this, skill that. Like, we got that. But like the game, like, what about the game? We don't like watching the game. That's one. No one likes watching the fucking game. The games look horrible. The design, the actual design, you can get into the design because people are just like kind of limited this whole NBA ratings things to just the paywall thing, which we talked about. That does have a lot to do with it, that you got to go through all these fucking loopholes to even watch an NBA game anymore. I was an NBA League Pass subscriber or holder for it's 2024. I've had it, or my parents have had it since 2000, maybe 7 or 8, and I've had it consistently throughout my life. And I just canceled it this year. I'm not. I'll catch a game when I can. I'd rather read boring shit than to sit there and watch YouTube TV and Emeritus Cup on the court. And I don't even understand. Now I get that these are digital logos, I guess, but I don't know. There'd be some other shit like they're doing this NBA Cup tournament and there's shit on the court. But then when we say we want the NBA Finals logo back on the court with the trophy in the middle, that I guess it's too slippery here. It's just no. What realistically what it is he's trying to separate himself from the David Stern era, and I get that. I understand that when you take over a company or anything of that sort, you want to kind of etch out your own style and all that. So I understand that. But could anybody be fucking worse? Like objectively, I mean, could anybody be worse? He sits around looking like a big fucking pinky toe, and he doesn't address players. Draymond is running ramshot on this league. He's making more threats. Draymond is fucking making more threats. He's threatening the Grizzlies coach because Draymond can't keep his hands off of people's legs. He attacked Zach Edey's leg last week, and the coaches that people have had enough. People have had a fucking enough. Let me see. People have had enough of fucking Draymond Green and his antics, especially when it's the same old shit constantly. It's just like, all right, something's up with that. So, anyways, Draymond goes on his podcast, and now he's playing the victim role, and he's saying he's a lot smarter than we think. He's a lot smarter than any of us that think that he's dumb, and he's a lot more level-headed than any of us that think he's not level-headed. And it's like, Draymond, dude, you really, you need to seek help. And this is just like, all jokes aside, I see a black man that is severely either bipolar or lacks emotional, his trauma responses and his emotional responses to things is not that of a 35-year-old. It just looks like that was stunted during his growth. And he continuously acts out. He got thrown out of the game last week. It's the same shit. And for him to say like he's actually more level-headed or smarter than anybody that thinks he's not that smart, it's like, are you? Because you're only as funky as your last cut. You're only as smart as your last decision. And like you continuously do the same old shit and get the same old result. And then you sit there and apologize and all this. Like we're done with it, man. We're done with it. We're done with the Draymond Green antics. I can't believe you're going to sit up there on your fucking show and your podcast and threaten people. And threaten players and say that everybody just wants you suspended. Oh, woe is me. Save it. This league is scraping the bottom of the fucking barrel, guys. That's just what it is. Okay. And I'm sorry that I got to be the one to sit up here and cut it nice and dry to you guys. But that's what's going on. The league is just simply scraping the bottom of the barrel. It's not bringing in the fans that it once brought in, and even the fans that they do have. Those fans aren't the tastemakers. They're not the culture pushers. They're not the needle movers. It's just not. The NBA had pop culture in its hand. Rappers wanted to be NBA stars. NBA stars wanted to be rappers. Usually NBA stars were bigger than NFL stars. Just by namesake, just by popularity, just because, for a myriad of reasons. But that is just not the case today. I mean, who do we got? Jason fucking Tatum, Luka Fat Donut Doncic, Joker, who don't even give a fuck about anything, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who it's harder to say his name than it is to fucking, do damn near anything else. You got Wembanyama, who that's another hard name. I mean, face recognition. I mean, he has the height, he has the skill. They're just missing. The NBA is just missing that it factor. And then you got Ant, and like I said, you got Ant, you got Tatum, you got LaMelo Ball. You got these players that are talented. Ant he needs a little bit more media training. Sometimes it's just like, dog, y'all just don't get it, man. Y'all just don't get it. So I do want to say shout out to Curry. Shout out to LeBron out there because as much as I got disdain for LeBron and some of the shit he does irritates me. I'll talk about that here in a fucking second. some of the shit with Dalton Connect. But LeBron is the last of that Mohican, where he was like a superstar from the jump. He had media training, he had brand awareness, all of that stuff. He knew when to show out and show up for games. He knew to trademark certain shit. His logo was good. Everything that you want in a superstar was check. And obviously LeBron had a big team behind him, Clutch Sports, but they kind of came along with each other. So I do want to tip my hat to LeBron for that, because boy, when I see these other stars, they just can't take the mantle. You got somebody like KD who, has fake all of a sudden not wanted to be a star anymore, and really realistically what it is KD got like some weed marijuana ventures, guys, and KD is high 24/7. Okay. I don't know, that's really word on the street. I don't know if I'm saying really some like common knowledge or not, but KD is high all the time. So, and usually, when you smoke that marijuana, it helps with stress. It helps with anxiety. It helps relieve some things and helps you relax your muscles. But, it does tend to make people lazy. And I will say with KD, really since he started this whole weed or marijuana venture and stuff, you could just tell a distinct difference with him. He's looking older. He looks a lot more roughy and stuff. Granted, KD's like 35 years old. I'm just saying that it looks like KD turned the corner to where that weed kind of settled him out. And he just doesn't care about anything. He doesn't care. If you remember when they went to Brooklyn, they said they didn't care what coach they got. They was going to be fine with any coach. And KD then said he didn't want to be a leader. And, it's just multiple things like that to where it lets me know that KD's not ready. He wasn't ready to have the torch. He was never ready to have the torch. Or at one point he wanted the torch. He won those rings with Golden State. He didn't get the satisfaction that he wanted to get out of winning those 2 rings and also the Finals MVP. So KD kind of just gave up on. He's a journeyman. To me, he's like the J. Cole of that. He kind of just gave up on that. Now he's going from team to team, ruining his legacy. He said that he probably wouldn't have a statue outside of any arena because of that, because of his journeyman status. So there's that. Now, let me get into LeBron a little bit. LeBron is like fake mad at everybody and like fake taking a social media hiatus because he's saying like he's doing his LeBron shit where Dalton he blitzed against the Utah Jazz, had 9 threes. He's our little rookie, 17th round draft pick. He's been playing really, really good. Lakers been playing good, looking good, yada, yada, yada. They asked LeBron about him, and he's like, LeBron starts throwing his little bitch fit, talking about, I was saying that last year, and the Lakers, we didn't really draft him. We didn't find a steal. We just kind of lucked into him, and I was watching them all last year, but the internet calls me. They say everything I do is a fucking lie. So like, I guess I was lying. Like, what does it look like now? It looks like you're a liar. It looks like you're a liar, which you should have. If I was the reporter, I would have said, okay, well, tell us about the book. Tell us about the Malcolm X autobiography. Like, there's still so much shit out there that you lied about. Like, why don't you address it? You're sitting there trying to victimize yourself and act like the internet is like making this out of thin air. No, we got compilations of you like clearly fucking lying. So if you want to sit there and make it seem like you're not lying or you don't be lying, well, then address the situations where we're accusing you of lying. Okay? No, you can't, because you are lying. You lie like a fucking rug. And the thing is with LeBron, he been lying. His whole brand is made up off of lies. Lie after lie after lie. We know what happened with his mom in that Hummer. It's just been lie after lie with this kid. Lie after lie after lie. It's been a lot of covering up. And like I said earlier, I gave him his props earlier. I had to give him his props earlier. LeBron has done a damn good job. He's moved the NBA forward. He's also moved it backwards. He's also hurt the NBA. And Iman Shumpert, his former teammate, come out and doubled down again. We know he made those comments previously, but he doubled down and explained himself a little bit more about what he meant with LeBron ruining the NBA. And I said the same thing years and years and years. I said it when it happened, and people, just it's easy to just tag somebody a LeBron hater. But it's like that's just not the case. And I'll wear that because, you know, I have foresight. I have foresight and I know that I'll be right in the end. That's just usually how this goes. I'll be right in the end. So yeah, LeBron, you don't got to take a social media hiatus. You don't have, and you've been so active on social media, but it was really, really, really interesting to see you not as active on social media when the Diddy thing happened. Like you still haven't addressed the Diddy thing directly, and a lot of people haven't. We'll get into the Diddy case, man. The Diddy case has been like snuffed out of the news cycle. It's really, really interesting to see how the Diddy case has been snuffed out of the news cycle. All right. Switching gears a little bit here. NBA, fucking horrible. I'm sure there's game. It's Thursday night. Who even plays in the NBA tonight? Let me see real quick. Let's see who plays. Ground beef got recalled. I seen that. Ground beef got recalled. Some ground beef got recalled from I can't remember the processor or the company producing, but another E. coli outbreak, but this time with ground beef. I'm just letting y'all know, and this is kind of a little off script here. Not really many good games on. I guess Lakers play the Magic. That's all right. But I'm just letting y'all know I'm kind of curious, and my senses is a little bit being raised with all this E. coli outbreak. Like I told y'all on the last stream, I do remember China buying up a lot of our farmland and processing, and China has a lot of real estate here, and there's something going on. We have another E. coli outbreak, this time with ground beef. So everybody be careful. Be aware that there is an E. coli outbreak with ground beef. I don't have the packaging information or anything like that. But what's interesting to keep your eye on is the fact that this continues to happen. It's happening to our fresh produce. Now it's happening to our fucking our protein. It's just something to keep an eye on. I don't think that it's just that accidental. I don't think that all these outbreaks really, this is like starting to be a mass outbreak because, outbreaks is like when 3 or 4 more people get sick from eating the same thing. So we got that, we get these separate outbreaks, but the fact that we are getting E. coli outbreaks in different regions over and over one after another is cause for pause. And I think it needs to be investigated. It needs to be investigated immediately. I'm really, 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 really curious. I wonder if that damn spy balloon that they sent over here has something to do. I'm joking about that, but I'm sure that there's something going on. I'm just sniffing around and I'm pretty sure that there's something going on. But I was saying, switching gears into when I introed the show, I was talking a little bit about Switzerland. And the reason why I kind of brought up Switzerland is because Switzerland has in their law that all their citizens, there's like over 380,000 nuclear bunkers in Switzerland for all of their citizens. And it's part of their law that each one of their citizens get rights to a nuclear radiation bunker. So I'm about to move to Switzerland, and the reason why I say that is because if you living under a rock, news out of Washington this week, out of the Pentagon as well, is that early this week we talked about it on Tuesday. Early this week we get news that Bloody Joe approves of long-range missile strikes and gives them bullets with our fucking name on it, literally with U.S. name on it, and literally a day later Ukraine strikes deep into Russian territory, which was absolutely supposed to be a no-no. It was what was holding up this war for a long time, that we stood firm on the fact that we were just like, that might be a little bit too far. And then 60 days out from the switch in the presidency, Joe Biden gives us a last fuck you and orders missile strikes to deep inside Russian territory. And it's just one last big fuck you. Now, here's the interesting things about that. One being that Joe Biden had all this time to do that. And it just goes to show how corrupt our regime is and how corrupt this nation is and how corrupt the system is, because It's the fact of the matter is that they were trying to win American votes that was holding them. There's this being an election year, kind of, we're going to see really the warmongers next year, you know. And if this 2024 weren't an election year, these wars would have come. We probably would have already been in a nuclear war. I'm just telling y'all that right now. So it's kind of fortunate that we were in an election year, although there is some, there's pros and cons with that. But the one thing I can say is the fact that it was an election year kind of made, I always said that Biden was trying to serve two masters, but that kind of pigeonholed him and the administration into doing some really, really fucking dumb things. And, but now the Dems is like, let's get it on. Shit, we lost the House, we lost the Senate. Let's just get it on. So he orders long-range missile strikes into Russia, and Ukraine and them they couldn't even say 1, 2, 3 before they launched them bitches. It literally launched them immediately, and that's a big, big fucking issue. That's a big issue. Long-range missile strikes into Russia, deep into Russian territory. We know we got the Korean troops, the North Korean troops, 10,000 North Korean troops fighting with Russia. So this war has completely escalated and out of control. And that was on Tuesday. So then fast forward now today, this morning, Russia does retaliate. Russia does retaliate after warnings and warnings and warnings and red lines being crossed. We do get Russian response, and the Russian response is, what was first reported was that it was they thought it was this new, never before used intercontinental ballistic missile strike. And the video of this is really, 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 really astounding. It turns out that it wasn't that. Let me see. Let's see. This was actually, it ended up being intermediate range ballistic missiles, not the other one. But, the other one, it was a really big issue because those other ones could be attached with nuclear heads. And, these drop. And it basically what it was a big flex. It was Putin putting his dick on the table, and it was a big flex from Putin saying that at any given time, I can attach a nuclear warhead to what I just did, and that's game over. We're wiping you off the map. So it was really just a test run with a new weapon, but it's also signifying to the West and NATO that y'all better get your shit together, because he also has went in and changed the war doctrine and his nuclear doctrine to make it a little bit more easy for him to be able to get away with nuclear weapons, the way it's written in his doctrine. Now it's stating that he could use nuclear weapons to any nation that is associated with nations that have nuclear weapons, which would fit Ukraine's description, because now it's official that Ukraine has officially used U.S. weapons. Well, they've used other U.S. weapons, but this one was kind of over the top here. So now it just changes it into their law and makes it a little bit more feasible for him to be able to do these things. So, we're hearing information about a nuclear winter, last Christmases, and Christmas being, a really kind of like a timeline and stuff. And we know in past wars and stuff like that through the winter, they're going to try to ramp this up before the winter here. We're getting ready to go on 3 years of this war. We got thousands and thousands of lives lost. We got other troops involved. It's just escalating way out of control. And that's just on this side of the world. On the whole other side of the world, we got a whole nother war breaking out. So it's just a complete mess right now. Washington is scrambling. The Pentagon has spoke out, and we're still giving. We actually have provided, in response to the Putin strikes today, we have given Ukraine these landmines, but they're like defense landmines to where they can set up a perimeter and kind of stage Russia off from invading into that perimeter and Now with this fucking landmines, I did read and stuff like that, that they are sometimes inactive or inert for tens and 20s of years, and sometimes, and there is casualties associated with that. And we know about landmines and how, you can walk into a landfill or landmine field and, die obviously from that. But they've said that kids have reportedly, they're like these little green looking toys, and they picked them up and blown up in their face, and there's been casualties from that. So it's just, again, man, if I were to tell you that in a year there would be an election, there would be an overthrown government in Haiti, there would be mass immigration and immigration, there would be governmentless nations, assassinations in those nations, 2 assassination attempts onto a U.S. president in the same year during an election year, a president that literally shits the bed, a coup, a unconstitutional presidential election where a particular party doesn't even get a DNC nomination. She doesn't even get in technically how it's supposed to go. A war over in the Middle East breaking out, a war in Ukraine, and a war in Europe, to where they're talking about nuclear weapons, and then also UFO disclosures. If I were to tell you that happened in 1 year, all in 1 year, what would you say? You would say that sounds like fucking the end times. That sounds fucking insane. So that's what's going on. That's essentially what's going on, man. All at once. We are just getting bombarded with these things, and it's really incredible. And we're in the midst of history, but again, a lot of people struggle to know the time in which they live in, why they live in it, and that's just par for the course. That's always happened in history. And then when we write about the history and they kind of like, fortify it and like fictionalize it and kind of like, mystify it and make, we read about it. Like, we read stories about the whole, Hitler and that time and the rise of anti-Semitism and the Holocaust survivors and all of that. And, then we see movies and movies and movies. So we kind of are able to visualize it a little bit better. And it helps us get this kind of idea of how crazy it might have been, or you want to ask your grandparents and people that was there, like, oh my God, it must have been fucking crazy. But like, we live amongst that time now. In fact, we're living in the craziest times. We're living in the craziest time. We're talking about the emergence of AI. We're talking about Starlink. We're talking about challenging governmental authority. We're talking about child sex trafficking rings. There is a lot of shit going on simultaneously. It's really hard to focus, but that's what we're here for, guys. That's what I'm here for. That's what Lord of Lips is here for. Let me be your mouthpiece, and I can do the speaking for you. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to kind of, make sure that we cover these things and make sure that we audit these things correctly. So, but yeah, the Ukraine situation is spiraling way out of control. It is now usurped the whole Middle East situation. We're going to get into that, but this is like breaking news out of Washington. It is going down. It is going down. So I'm just telling everybody, let's get to Switzerland. We need to get our citizenship, maybe some dual citizenship. But let's see here. In a stark warning to Western countries arming Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin said Thursday he ordered an attack on Ukraine with new intermediate-range ballistic missiles in response to Ukraine firing U.S. and British supplied longer-range weapons to hit targets inside Russia. Putin said in a televised address that the strike was a test of a new weapon and that Russia reserved the right to strike at countries that provide weapons to Ukraine for attacks on Russian territory. So Putin is also alluding to the fact that they reserve the right to strike with this new weapon on territories that have provided Ukraine weapons. So there's news being made out of Washington that Putin has made threats to strike U.S. territory. So this is all on the table, guys. This is all on the table. We need to be aware. This message needs to be spread far and wide. More and more people need to become aware of what's actually going on and pay attention, because it does this has everlasting effects. I mean, even when you assess the damage from these wars and stuff like that, it's incredible. We are in a mess of a situation. Even if Trump is able to get in there and negotiate a ceasefire in that war, even both wars in best case scenarios, like the amount of damages that is assessed. And I read somewhere that BlackRock is all involved with Ukraine and trying to they are promising to help rebuild Ukraine and help stimulate the Ukraine economy. But this is going to cost $500 billion. So this is going to be a little ticket, man. And just the amount of damages that Ukraine has faced and Russia has faced, and we're talking about that's in Europe. And then what about the Middle East situation, and how do we get a two-state solution going with Palestine and Israel? Like, is that ever going to be a possibility anymore? Or how do is the Gaza Strip, what's up with the Gaza Strip? Is that done for? So there's so many of those questions that we should be asking that well, really, we don't want to skip too far. We got to make it through. You know what I'm saying? We got to make it through. Right now, we're literally playing monkey in the middle. As America, we're playing monkey in the middle between people that is contemplating doing that thing, and they have enough power to do that thing. I think that there's enough manpower, there's enough technology, and there's enough nuclear power, I should say, to literally wipe the planet away 24 times. They can wipe the planet away 24 times with the nuclear arsenal that they have. Russia has the most nukes, the USA right behind them. Then you got China, and everybody in the world is praying that Iran doesn't get control of a nuclear weapon. And they keep reporting that they're months out, but I think that's all poppycock. Speaking of Iran, we haven't heard much news as far as the Iran, Lebanon and Israel situation, but we do get breaking news, really, really crazy, groundbreaking, historical information here that the ICC has now officially issued warrants for the arrest of Bibi Netanyahu and also his defense leader, his former defense leader, because I remember he got up out of there a few months ago. But Bibi Netanyahu has been issued an arrest warrant. So there's 124 countries in the ICC. The USA is not a part of that. The USA is holding out hope that they are condemning this arrest warrant. We stand near and dear to Israel, and we think that it's some bullshit of what's going on here. But it's really developed. It's still developing now, but we do know that Bibi is not allowed to step foot in a lot of countries, or he will be arrested. This is the type of shit that sent Hitler on the run. But it's also really dangerous because if you got a man that is backed into a corner like this, they tend to do crazy fucking things. They tend to do crazy things. So this is really, really, really groundbreaking news. Something to continue to keep your eye on. BB comes out and says that it's clearly anti-Semitic, which we're so sick of y'all just throwing that term around so freely. It's not anti-Semitic, dog. You've committed mass genocide, mass murder. It just is what it is. You continue to march on territory. It's clear as day. Everybody's waking up to the games. I don't even got the energy today. But just know that we're in November. We got a month out. We're literally 60 days out from the inauguration. I think that if these clowns is going to get active, they're going to get active in these 60 days. So I even on my email this week, when I was going through my emails, MNS, I read that every day. Just read the articles here. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see here. Let's see here. I apologize. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second here. It was yesterday. Yeah. MSN yesterday. This was the headline. It said, World War III has already begun. And you're getting news out of multiple sources, every source that you can find that has said that we literally we've entered into World War III. Now, what does this mean? Now, this doesn't mean, it could mean that we see bombs over Baghdad, as we're seeing in other countries. But realistically, what this means for America is that we're in a purgatory situation here. And we're going to go through we're going to go through a little tribulation period potentially, even if while we're trying to broker these ceasefire deals and stuff like that. This just means that it could be the next couple of years. This could be followed by another Great Depression, a recession, all types of things. But us entering into World War III territory just means for American citizens, we may not be actively in a war, but this is going to affect the economy significantly. It's going to affect the economy really, really significantly. So I'm telling people, while we wake up every morning and we're getting ready to provide, happy holidays and Christmases and Thanksgivings and stuff like that, us men and stuff, we got to start preparing our family and stuff and putting back a little penny for a rainy day here, because we are going to go through some really, really, really tough times in this country over the next few years, no matter how this swings. Now we got death. We're looking death in the eye on one end, and we're looking at peace and prosperity on the other end. But we're not going to be in that period for a long time. It's going to take the American citizens a lot of fighting. We got our own deficits to face that we talked about last episode here, but essentially, the next few years is going to be really, really, really tough for American citizens. And that's not even to get into the economic plan of the new sitting president with the tariffs and tax cuts and anything like that. We know how war affects the economy. It does stimulate the economy in certain ways, but it also, because it helps with unemployment, puts people at work and stuff like that. But it also, a lot of our tax dollars is being spent and sent overseas as we aid in a lot of wars. So we'll see if NATO can get involved and they can pick up some of their end of the bargain. And our defense budgets and stuff have to be literally revised, and people have to contribute a little bit more as America kind of hunkers down. So we'll see. There'll be more to have. But yeah, Bibi Netanyahu is literally on the fucking run. He is a criminal. He is a war criminal, Bibi Netanyahu. Go get his ass. They need to get his ass. You know what I'm saying? They need to get his ass once and for all. He is continuously marching on more territory. That is what's going on over in that war. These 4 Palestinians, he's being charged of genocide, war crimes. These people are intense. The Gazan people that have nothing to do with it cannot eat. They can't drink. Every time we send aid over there, or somebody sends aid over there, trucks are still continuously being looted or blown up. And they're on the brink of literally starvation. And we're talking about millions of people's lives at risk here. So very, very urgent, very, very, very incredible news here. And I will continue to follow this news and bring it to you guys. The other thing is like, I'm gonna watch that. America is definitely the new Rome. Definitely. Everybody looks like they're watching. Everybody looks like they're watching the NFL. But anyways, the other thing is like, more news out of Washington was the hearing that we had in the Senate, last week with the people that was testifying for the UAP situation. And I talked about last episode that I wanted to briefly touch on that. Now we're hearing a lot of different reports, but last week was witnesses and stuff like that. This week we're getting, let me see if I can find it. The AARO is actually going to be testifying this week, or the head person of the AARO. Now, this is real serious information. And if you guys remember, they kind of broke this last year, and we had some hearings and stuff like that last year. And the whole situation is that they're trying to end the stigma, because there's been a stigma for years out there for people, UFO sightseers and stuff like that. So a lot of people haven't come forward, or when they do come forward, they're ostracized. They lose their job, or they fear of losing their job, or they just fear of being looked at as a kook. So we're hoping that the desensitizing that and kind of disclosing, taking off the disclosure for that will help people have more accurate sightings, or giving us a better briefings on what they actually seen. And this is military personnel and stuff that are testifying under law, under oath of what they seen. And they all confirm the same thing. I mean, it's different things. We're talking about little tacks. We're talking about cube shape UAPs. We're talking about UAPs that are coming out of our oceans. We're talking about pyramid shaped UAPs, and there's countless and countless of footages. We got ex-military members or military members that have been injured, by these things. They originally were calling it like a Havana injury, and it was like brain injuries, radiation injuries, and stuff. And the American tax people are paying for these hundreds of people that have been injured by these crafts. So at this Congress, they're saying, we must acknowledge that, on one hand, we're saying that we don't know, it's not confirmed, but on the other hand, we are paying for people that have experienced trauma from what you could consider a UAP. It's an unidentified aerial phenomenon. So, again, speaking out of both ends of the mouth, that, but they're all but confirming that they exist. They're also talking about non-human biology on these crafts, and that we've recovered that intelligence, and like it's confirmed. We're also hearing that the reason why it was disclosed for so long is that we were in an arms race with other countries to try to reverse engineer these things. And that's very interesting, because it's like, we've heard that before. We actually heard that from Mr. Bob Lazar. We've heard that's been his thing, that he was a member, that he said that he worked under secrecy for a long time trying to back engineer these UFOs that we've gotten in a crash retrieval program. There's a crash retrieval program for UAPs, and we've been trying to back engineer these things. Now, I don't know where I don't know where our military is. I don't know where we are with that back engineering. And a lot of people suspect that a lot of the sites that we see and stuff like that is partially to do with us back engineering these crafts. And we're testing these crafts, and a lot of the crashes and stuff that you may see is us back engineering it and testing these vehicles. But I'm here to tell you guys that something else is going on. Okay. Something else is going on with this situation. And man, they're trying to ease us into it and give us it bit by bit here. But I just want to rip the Band-Aid off and let y'all know that we are seeing, these are crafts. These are crafts of gods. Some call them the Anunnaki. Some call them Enki and Enlil. Some people call them our Lord and Savior. There's a lot of biblical references you could take. You could take a lot of Talmud, Torah, Quran. These crafts have been referenced in scriptural. They've been referenced in ancient Semitic, Aramaic, all types of different ancient literature. It dates far, far, far back. Hieroglyphs and everything have referenced these crafts and these beings in these crafts, and that they help us kind of evolutionary. They help us progress. So it's no mystery that during this trial and tribulation that we are going through, as all the nations on the earth are going through, that we continue to ramp up and see more and more of these crafts. There were a lot reported. There were reportedly by a lot of military installation, a lot of nuclear sites. And again, that's not accidental. Now, one can make a case, well, that's not accidental because it's actually us who have back engineered these things. So, of course, you're seeing them by our military installations and stuff like that, and the whole situation with what Area 51 is for. But I'm here to tell you that that's not what they are. That's not what they are. They're not China's. They're not Russia's. They're not USA. These don't belong to man. They don't belong to man. They belong to a superior being who is here, and that superior being is going to make his presence known very, very, very soon. They're not going to get to blow up the world. It won't happen. The superior beings that are out there, the ancients, our ancestors, whatever you want to call them, they're going to wage war. In the Bible, it says, gather around, armies. Since you guys enjoyed war and bloodshed so much, Jesus says he was going to give the nations their own blood to drink during this time. And we're entering that period. We're literally sleepwalking into World War III. And World War III, as we know it, is the end of civilization because of the nuclear power and nuclear arsenal of this current world we live in. But I'm here to tell you that the world doesn't never end. It's the way of a world. It's a cycle. It's a cycle period. And governments fall and new governments rise. And so we're entering that period. We're at the end of a period of, we're at the end of a rulership for people. And that's just the fact of the matter. So also, do not allow the modern day kind of fixation of these crafts and these beings, because they have drawings, they have official drawings of these beings. Some, they're called the Greys and different things, but no, don't allow them to mystify what these things actually are. And if you really look into the history of NASA and kind of what their founding principles are and what they were here to do, is very, very alarming. There's actual satellites and telescopes and stuff that they have out there named after light beings and Satan and stuff like that. Stars that they name after that. So you just really, I think it's more and more evident, or it should be more and more evident for the people that pay attention, at least, to kind of be able to coalesce and put this all together without someone having to walk you to it and tell you exactly what it is. I don't want to say exactly what it is. I want to leave room for interpretation for people to use your own brain, because it's not going to be any good if I just tell you. You know, you have to be able to point to different things and be able to come to conclusions and put it together yourself. And a lot of people struggle with that. Because also we live in the day of information, and living in the day of information kind of hurts because sometimes it's information overload. Sometimes it's too much information, and then you got misinformation out there. I remember the good brother Malcolm X, God rest his soul, said that we as a people were like a cow, we're like a pig. I'm sorry, because you could just feed us so much information, and we don't know which one to actually digest. We don't know which information. We just take it all in. As opposed to cows, cows have, multiple stomachs. Cows have a lot of different stomachs, a lot of different digestive tracts and stuff like that. And they're able to kind of, put this here, put that there, digest that there, digest that there. We're not like that as a people. We kind of just take it all in. We take in junk. We take in too much stuff at a time. and it doesn't help us because we struggle with actually processing correct information. So I say that to say, I mean, I'm here to kind of help assist with that, but people have to do their own reading and stuff like that. You have to come to your own conclusions. I will say that just pay attention to what they're doing, and as they continue to disclose this information and the importance of it. I mean, I just cannot believe, I can't stress this enough, that we live in a time to where they're like, actually not only disclosing but admitting, that they've recovered biological, non-human biological intelligence, that these crafts exist. Like, we grew up in a society and in a culture where it was like, that was more kook talk. That was more a little bit out there talk. Everybody kind of, when you got with your homies and smoke weed on Friday nights, you kind of talked, oh, do you believe in aliens? Well, like now we're like living in the day to where it's like our government officials, Congress and Pentagon and stuff is like acknowledging the fact that, like, yeah, there's craft out there and we don't necessarily know exactly, it's not ours, and it's higher intelligence craft. So I know we all live a day-to-day life, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on to make it hard to kind of focus on that. And a lot of people, a lot of it is that a lot of people are scared. You talk to a lot of people about this and they just don't want to hear it. And I get that. They just want to continue to live their life and do what they got to do. But if you ever watch those movies, I love a good old apocalypse movie. Usually the survivors of those movies are usually the people that had a little bit of a drop on what was going on. The people, there's going to be, if you read the Rosetta Stone and the Georgia Guidestones and stuff like that, there's going to be billions and billions of people that get wiped off first. Boom. In fact, if we have a nuclear situation, our Pentagon has run a test, and they say it's going to be about 15 days. It's going to be it takes about 15 days until the people turn into cannibals and start eating each other. But majority of the population gets wiped out first anyway. That's what happens. So I'm not saying that just all it takes is you to know what's going on, because no, it doesn't, unfortunately. But that's half of the battle, is knowing. Half of the battle is knowing the time in which you live and what is actually going on. What is the narrative? What is going on? What is the story? And you can live amongst you. You don't have to live into that fear. You don't have to live like that. But it's just good to know what the common narrative that is going on. Some people say just turn off the news because all it is junk. All it is fear mongering. And yes, there is truth to that. But there is going to come a time to where you need to know what is going on. You think if the people in the Palestinian people and stuff like that, or even you could say Israel before the attack, you don't think if they had kind of got the drop or whatever, that wouldn't have changed the whole game for them. It would have changed everything for them. So just being aware of what's going on, kind of doing your own research, kind of doing your own reading really, really goes a long way with that. But yeah, this whole UAP situation is obviously still developing. The dude met with them on Tuesday, and it is going to be a main focus. It's also interesting. I talked about last episode, the timing on it, how the whole election cycle, I get it. That's the big deal, but it just took up the whole, those few months, it took up that whole kind of pie. Now we get the results, and then boom, just like that. Now this whole situation is back in the news. War is back in the news, just like that. So I understand. And you got to ask yourself, well, who controls the news? That's also part of it. Lastly, can't remember what the last thing I kind of wanted to cover. It wasn't the NBA. It was some news out of rap, man. Future and Metro do an interview, and just not real thrilled about it, man. I'm ready. They dropped 2 albums this year. They obviously kick off rap's biggest beef probably ever between Dot and Drake. I'm sick of the Drake shit. I've been, I was salivating. I was literally salivating for this beef for years, for decades. For about a decade, I was salivating for this beef. Once it came and once we got the results and once it was what it was, The fans ruined it for me, really on Drake's side, really on both sides, but really Drake's side because they're absolutely delusional. They spend 24/7, and it's these bots. They spend 24/7 all of their time. They're on X attacking anything Kendrick does, anything anybody associated to Kendrick does. And then you got the media mouthpiece, academics and Aiden Ross and Kai Cenat and all these Twitch lame streamers that don't know shit about hip hop interjecting and trying to draw narratives. And it keeps continuously falling on flat ears, drywall. It's nothing sticking. But it's really annoying to just see. But Drake cut his fucking lame hair. Future does a little GQ interview with Metro, and he's clearly trolling. But now all the hip hop community's taking him out of context, saying, "Oh my God, Future's trying to mesh it back up with Drake." That's not necessarily what's happening. I'm not saying that they're not meshing it back up. The fact of the matter is that we should be focusing on the fact that Drake is in desperate need of Atlanta. Drake is in desperate need of Atlanta, like Kendrick stated. And that's the fact of the matter. He gets out. I mean, Young Thug gets out. Drake is immediately on his knees, sucking dick, throwing money around. Drake is begging for Future. Everybody's trying to piece it up because Drake needs Atlanta. And yeah, Drake is a powerful entity in the space and stuff like that. But like I've been fucking saying, that Drake his power is going around and galvanizing and usurping your power from here, usurping your power from Miami, usurping your power from the West, usurping your power from down south, and then come and culminating it and present that to the world as his. That's Drake's power. But when you start to strip him of that power, when you start to take some of Thanos' rings and shit from him, Infinity Stones, he's not as powerful. When you start to be able to control your own dreams and stuff like that, Freddie's not as powerful. So that's what's going on with the Drake situation. But I just wanted to say that Future was clearly trolling. He was acting like, "Oh, there was a beef. I didn't even know that there was a beef." Future's clearly trolling. That whole album was centered around beef. I mean, if we wanted to get into it, and for the dum-dums out there, well, why did Future and Metro? Obviously, we know Metro and Drake had funk. They had funk before it all kicked off with Metro Shut Your Whole Ass Up and Make Some Drums. But they've had funk for a while. Why did Future team up with Metro? And why did they name the album We Don't Trust You and We Still Don't Trust You? Why was there Drake disses littered all over, not just by Kendrick, but by The Weeknd? And why were they teaming up with all his ops? Why was there a Rick Ross feature? Why was there this and that feature? So we know that there is funk there between Future and Drake. Really over a bitch. We do know that it was over a female. Metro said that his beef with Drake was not over a female. That it's a little bit deeper than that. But the point of the matter is Future is clearly aware of the beef. He was clearly trolling. That situation is still developing. And Drake has released 19 songs this summer. None of them has stuck. He released No Face with a video. That didn't stuck. No one's talking about it. It's not in our lexicon. I thought the song was low-key decent. I thought it was low-key fire. But I just know that it's not sticking. And he's released songs with Lotto. I mean, he's given us literally albums worth of material this year. And he's coming off. Kendrick did severe damage to this man. Let me just tell you that. And if Kendrick really kept his foot on his neck and really wanted to keep going, we would have seen we've seen a Ja Rule situation. I'm gonna just leave it at that. That's really it for today. Shout out to everybody that joined, whoever popped in. Shout out to the Hungry Review. Please go follow and like his page on TikTok where he does videos. Gladiator 2 is dropping tomorrow. I might go tap into Gladiator 2. I like the first Gladiator. So yeah, shout out to the Hungry Review. Go over to his page and watch that. I should be having more content coming this week. I believe that I'm going to finish my Machiavelli series and finish the second half of this album, reviewing it for you guys. That's probably coming up this Saturday or Sunday. So be on the lookout for that. Other than that, again, I appreciate you guys. Please drop a like, drop a comment below, hit the bell, share the page, tell a friend, tell a friend. This is Lord of Lips being your mouthpiece, and I'm out.